thought I'd go ahead and, I know you just wanted the eyeshadow, but I'm doing all my makeup anyway, so you could just skip whatever parts you don't want to watch, but allergies. But I always start with, I have moisturizer on, and then I'm doing sunscreen. I started doing sunscreen a few years ago, I guess, every day, as opposed to just like going to the beach. And I do think it is helpful. But I guess we'll see in like 40 years what the payoff is. But anyways, so normally I'll start with moisturizer and sunscreen, and I know you have your own routine that you do with your foundation and everything, but I don't know if you ever wanted to try anything new. And I don't know what you use to put your foundation on with. I use a brush, but I used to use my hands all the time, and that worked fine. And there's like, you know, beauty blenders too. But anyway, I usually do my foundation on the back of my hand. So I don't know why they just say to do that. So that's what I do. And I have my little brush, and it's really dirty, of course, because I don't wash my brushes unless I'm doing someone else's makeup, which is probably gross, but that's fine. But anyway, what I was gonna say was, it seems like you like more cool toned eyeshadows and looks, and so I'll just show you what I have, and I'll do more of like a natural cool toned look today, because it seems like you've always kind of been more drawn to that, but you can let me know what you think. And I like a brush because, I don't know, it just like helps you build up coverage. But yes, so I usually do my foundation first, and I'm not doing like a super intense job with it today, not taking too much time on it. Sometimes I'll take a little bit more time to see if I can make it look better, but and then I usually do my brows, and I don't know if you have a little eyebrow brush, but that is a game changer. So you can get them for really cheap, but I just use it to brush my brows up, because sometimes, you know, usually whenever you wake up, your brows are all kind of like pushed down and whatever, but I use it to push mine up a little bit. And then where my brows usually I fill them in the most is at the tail, because there's not much there. I used to do a lot more bigger brows and whatever, that was the style, but I'm doing a little bit less, more with a natural shape. So what I use for my brows, and you can use a lot of different things, this might be a little bit dark for you, but it's this NYX brow pen, and it's more, it looks like an eyeliner, but it's not as intense, obviously. But you can also use, they have like little brow pencils too. Let me see if I can find mine. Sorry, this is probably gonna be boring, but this one is not like, I wouldn't recommend this one. It doesn't like show up very well, but it has like a little, you can get something like this. I don't know if you can see that, of better quality, but this one just doesn't like show up very well. But sorry if I'm shaking, I've had a lot of coffee. But yeah, you could get a like a pencil like that, or you could also use eyeshadow and a little angled brush. It's really whatever look you're going for. And I can show you some more stuff whenever I'm down there, if you want, in terms of like filling in brows or whatever. If you want to try that, you don't have to, obviously. But I'll start with the tail first, and with this, it does look more natural, because it's like, you can do little hair-like strokes, which I like. I don't like it to look like a block, you know what I mean? Which, that was the makeup style for a while, but just get my little thing. The thing is, I obviously have a ton of makeup, but it's also, it's where I can see it if I pull it out, but also I lose things all the time, constantly losing things. I'm like, where did that go? And then I have to buy another one, and then I find it, you know, 2 weeks later, of course. This one actually is almost out, so I'm going to change to my other one, and I'll throw that one away. Yes, so same thing. Just this one has a little bit more juice in it. But yeah, like it depends on the kind of look you're going for. If you just want a little bit more definition. And also, so I'll show you in a minute, but I always use a brow gel at the end. And some people just use brow gel. And that's like, it is a very natural look. And Abigail, you know, she has those fluffy brows that are so great. And I'm not actually sure if she fills hers in. I wouldn't think she would need to, but I think she uses a brow gel, which is, yeah, so and a lot of these stuff you can find at drugstores or Walmart or whatever. Most of this, actually. I had a little phase. I mean, I won't say that it's over, but I had a little phase of like getting pretty high-end, expensive makeup. And it was really good, but then I, you know, was like, this is not really sustainable. So I tried to find a lot of dupes. I like finding dupes, which is like a drugstore version, like a cheaper version of something that works as well, or about as well, you know, for the price. So yeah, so I usually do something like that, and then if I get a little bit of not what I want, like this is a little bit thick down here, I just kind of do that. Little Q-tip. And then after that, I'll do my brow gel. This is the one that I use. It's in brunette, and I like it a lot. And it's tinted. You can get a clear one, or you can get this one, which has more color in it. And this one actually has like little fibers in it, and so it adds to the thickness of your brow, as well as tinting it, and as well as keeping it in place. So I like that aspect of it a lot. I feel like there's something in my contact. So I do that. So after I do my brows, I usually do my eye makeup and eyeshadow, because if I do concealer first, then usually I'll get like fallout on my face, and then it, you know, I have to redo it anyway. So I like to kind of do the blank space first, and then I'll add like concealer to clean it up. But I also use, and you don't have to do this obviously, but I found it helpful for me, because sometimes it depends on the eyeshadows that you get, and I guess the way your eyelids are. Because if you have more oily eyelids, then the eyeshadow is more likely to wear off. And if your eyelids are dry, then a lot of times like the colors and the pigments won't show up as well. So I do an eye primer. And like I say, you obviously don't have to do this, but I found it to be helpful for keeping my eyeshadow in place. And so anyway, and all these are like, I don't think I am using any products right now that are super expensive or high-end. Like, I'm really trying to like not do that. So I think all of the products that I'll use will be like drugstore or pretty cheap. So this is what I have, and this is a white primer. You can get like a clear one or like a nude color, but this one, you know, it gives it a nice base, and then it helps things show up. I don't know if you can see that. I'm sorry if it's not in focus, but that's what I have. But I just do a little bit of that, and it's almost like also, if you don't have this, you can do a little concealer on your lid, and that does pretty much the same thing. Sometimes concealer can be a little bit more oily, but it still is, a lot of people use it as eye primer. So that's definitely something that you can do if you want to try it. Again, you know, you can take all of this or none of it, you know, with a grain of salt, and see what you like and what you don't. It's just fun to play around with it, you know what I mean? And if you have a little time on a weekend, or, you know, even after, you know, I used to go in that room upstairs and do I don't know if you knew this, but I would do all kind of makeup looks in the upstairs room and take pictures with my little digital camera. Silly. But it was a lot of fun. And I would go to the library and do a look at makeup looks on YouTube. That was all I was doing on YouTube, was looking at makeup looks. So I think we talked about this before, but I'll start with the crease normally. And this is actually not my favorite blending brush. Let me see if I can find my other one. But if you have like a fluffy brush, that'll be the best. It just makes things a lot easier for blending and making things look cohesive and natural, as opposed to like sometimes it can look like a kind of a stripe of color, and you know, that's not really my deal, but some people like that, and that's okay too. But here are two of the options that I could use for like a blending brush. And I know you said you had some brushes, so this one is my favorite. It's like a bigger, fluffier brush, and the thing about this one is a little bit smaller, and so it like, let me just see how to explain this. So, and you might know all of this too, so you can just fast forward if you need to. But the thing about this type of brush is I'm looking to build up like softly and slowly, as opposed to just going straight in with a stripe of color. Because again, that can look harsh, and I like it to be more blended and more like fading upwards, if that makes sense. But so what I'll do is I'll show you what I have. I've got a lot of palettes here, but and you can tell me which colors you're more drawn to. You know, I have this big one that I made of a lot of smaller ones that I think I showed you before, and I use on you. But you can kind of tell me what colors you're more drawn to, because this is kind of overwhelming, you know, obviously, but let's see if you can see it. But I would say, if, you know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like these are more of the colors that I feel like you're more drawn to maybe. And these are more like definitely warm toned with the pinks and the like warm browns. Down here you have like, this is like a cool brown, and this one too. So like everything down here is kind of more cool toned, which I do think you like a little bit more, but you can tell me which ones you're more drawn to. So what I would do to start out with like a natural, cool toned, everyday look, I think I would do this one here. So this is like it's like a cool brown. It's almost maybe like a tiny bit of a pinky shade, but not really, just like a little bit more. This one's almost gray. This one's like brown, but brown gray with maybe a little bit of pink. Sorry, my nose is running. But so I'm just gonna get a little bit on my brush, and then I also always tap it off, because again, you don't want like a huge swash of color, because it's much easier to add than to take away. So what I'll do is I'm gonna look downwards a little bit, because I know you have like more hooded eyes, and so like more of what you can see is this area up here. And so what I'm doing, I'm not taking it all the way up to the eyebrow, but I am gonna go more of like right here with it, because this is gonna add a little bit more dimension. And you almost, you know, you almost can't see it, but you also will be able to see it a little bit more. And like I say, you can build it up as much or as little as you want to. I think it just adds like a nice depth to the eye. And so you're just going in really, really lightly, because again, if you're going in really hard and aggressive, it's gonna look more harsh. So just like building that up, making sure there's a nice kind of transition between where your eyeshadow is going and your eyebrow, because up to the eyebrow is not really the thing anymore. But yeah, you can definitely do it. Like, I am a fan of people doing whatever they want with their makeup, because it's for fun. But so I'm gonna do the other eye as well. And I don't know, like I say, I don't know if you can see the difference, but it really does make a difference. And if you're going for like that every day, I don't know how often you wear eyeliner, or if that's something that you're interested in doing. I'll add some, but you definitely don't have to do it. And I think you may not want to do like a wing or something like that, you know what I mean? Like, but you definitely can. That's also something. So what I like to do is like that it's not dark, but like that, but more of a brown on the crease. And then even when you're like, you can kind of still see it, which is nice. And then I'll do, depending on what I want to do, I might go in with something like this and do like a little, but you definitely don't have to do this step, but sometimes it adds a little bit more dimension to just put it like right on the corner of your eye. It kind of gives an eyeliner look without being too intense, but it really just a tiny bit of that darker shade. And this is almost a dark purpley brown in that corner. But again, this is an optional step. You definitely don't have to do that. But I like to do it sometimes. And then I'll go in with a lighter color or a shimmer all over the lid. And you can do this with your finger. I usually do shimmers and glitters with my finger because they go on a lot better with your finger. But with like a matte lighter shade, I'll usually use this brush, and this is almost a flat brush. I don't know if you can see, sorry if I'm moving around too much, but that's that. And so if you want to go really like Ice Queen with it, you can definitely do something like this, or you can do like a lighter. Now these are shimmers, but they are still like cool toned. So up here you have like the goldish, like they're more gold or more warm toned, and then these are going to be a lot more cool tone. They have that icy sort of flair to them. So I'll do this one. And this one, you know, because it is a lighter color and because you want it to show up, you can pack it on a little bit more. You don't have to go in as lightly because you want it to show up more. But I'm just doing that all over the lid. And I like to get in the corner too because I like a little bit of lightness there. I think it's pretty. See if you can see the shimmer a little bit. So, and I'll do my finger for the other side so you can kind of see. My nails kind of get in the way, but you can definitely still do it if you use the pad of your finger. And you can see like that shows up a lot more. It just like, I don't know why, but it packs it on a lot thicker, which is cool. So I'm doing that. And if I had gone in with like, for example, like this, which is a matte shade, or something like this, maybe in a lighter tone, I have like, I'll show you. Sorry, I lose everything. Here it is. Like, something like this, which is, I think it's called Coconut, but it's, like a matte lighter shade, then I probably would do just a little bit of shimmer in the corner. Now this looks kind of crazy right now, but I'm going to clean up all of this. And I kind of like glitter under my eye, but you may not. So I'll clean up all of that. But since there's already shimmer on my lid, then I'm probably not going to do much more, you know. So anyway, the eyeliner, like I say, I don't know if you use eyeliner, but if you do and you want to add a little something like this pencil liner. Now this is like a black brown, and but you could use black, or you could use, you know, really whatever color eyeliner you want. I'm gonna sit like this because I can't. I don't like sitting on the same position for too long. But anyway, so what I like to do, and you don't have to do this because it is kind of like, you know, scary, but I kind of like to line on the inside of my upper lash line because it just gives it more depth. And then I'll just do just like a tiny bit on this side, and I like it to be more smudged, so I will either rub it with my finger a little bit, or I'll get a little brush and I'll sort of blend it out more. Let me see if I can find a good brush to do that with. Well, this is, I put a bunch of glitter on this one, so I don't know. Anyway, doesn't really matter. I'll just use my finger. So just a little bit like this. And I know this is kind of a lot of shimmer, but like I say, you can use any sort of light shade on that and it will look great. It's just like kind of an everyday sort of a thing. And I'm going kind of slow, but it's really quick once you get into it. You just do crease, lid, a little bit of eyeliner, and then whatever you use for the rest of your makeup. So I'm at the concealer portion. Now, I'm pretty much out of this, but I would usually use like this under my eyes, blemishes, wherever. But my concealer is in the way, so I'm going to use my little palette here. And usually what I'll do is, because it is like a wand, I can kind of just go in and then use a little blending thing to blend it out. But since it's gone and I just have this little palette, I'm going to go in with a little brush. So I don't usually do this, but like I say, since I'm out, I've got to use what I got. And so I usually go under my eyes. That's a big one because I've got dark circles, as you can see. I do like the middle of my face, like forehead, chin, obviously any blemishes, which I'm having some really cute ones recently. And you just kind of go in, and then I'll use like nose, you know, and I'll use a sponge to kind of blend it out. I also use a setting spray, and for me it just helps things blend together a lot better, helps your makeup last longer. Again, you don't have to use it at all, of course, but because I like more of like a, I guess, a dewier look as opposed to like a powdered matte face, which I do use powder, but as opposed to more of a like dry face, because my skin is pretty dry anyway, I prefer like a dewier look. So setting spray helps with that, and I'm saying that because I'm about to spray my face, go ham, and blend, blend, blend. Now let me see. Okay. Now this is a setting spray that I like, and it smells good. It smells like coconut. And then I just use this dirty, dirty, dirty sponge to blend everything out. And if I need to add a little bit more, I can. If I need to, you know, start over or whatever it is, then I can. But anyway, I'm trying to not make this too long, because it can get boring, of course, watching someone do their makeup. I mean, I love it, but, you know, I like doing makeup, so that's just one of them things. And so, let me just, now, for me, I'm not really happy with the coverage under my eyes. It looks like almost gray. It doesn't look that good to me. So I think it's like, maybe I need a little bit more, a little bit darker concealer, because that's kind of, yeah, I think that maybe is a little bit better, because it's kind of just like stark and makes my eyes look red and makes me look dead. So we're gonna try to fix that best we can. But like I say, there's only so much you can do. I do have those dark circles, which is fine. Anyway, so do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I don't know if you wear blush or bronzer or anything. I'm just gonna do blush today. And like I say, I like more of like a dewy look, so I do cream blush and then powder on top of that. Anyway, doesn't matter. But so my blush, I've been doing it like on this part of my cheekbone because that's kind of in vogue, but I've just seen some, like, I'm trying to figure out what my face shape is and what looks best on my face shape. So I'm kind of doing blush here and blending up with it. Get a little brush. Where's my little brush? Here it is. And not necessarily blending like down, but it's kind of spreading it out a little bit, and I might have a little bit of blush blindness, but that's kind of in vogue now. So like I say, I'm trying to not take too long on this because it can get tedious, but and then I'll do some powder. I have loose powder, but you can use, you know, I have this loose powder, but you can definitely use like I need to get some more actually. like a pressed powder, which I think I've seen you use before. But I get it on like a big fluffy brush, tap it off a little bit, and then just powder the places where I don't want my makeup to come off. So a little bit here, a little bit there. Not too much because, like I say, I don't like my skin being dry as dust, but you know, sometimes it happens. And then I also always do a little powder under my eye, and I have this little brush that's really helpful, which I don't even think it's supposed to be a powder brush, but that's okay. I get a little bit under, but I try not to do too much because I don't want, because I have wrinkles under my eyes, and so it can settle into those pretty intensely, you know. Also, this step is optional, but I like to add a little bit of eyeshadow whenever I'm getting to the powder phase. I like to add a little bit of powder under my eye, like eyeshadow under my eye, to give it a little bit more depth. So I'm going to go in again with this, the lightest shade that we used before. You can see. And I'm just going to do a little of that under my eye because I think it kind of melds the look together a little bit without it being like a super harsh line. Anyway, so very quickly, I'm going to do a little bit more blush. More blush. So I have this little palette, this brush, and I'm going to do like I guess more a lighter, well, I guess this one's more cool tone, so let's go with that one. And again, tapping off the brush, you don't get a huge amount of product, very lightly going in. Yeah, so that's that. And then I'll do mascara, and you obviously know how to do that. So I'm gonna go in a little bit with that. So interesting watching someone put on mascara. I really need to fix my contact. I think it's ripped or something. So. And then whatever, I usually do mascara and then lips last because usually I'm drinking my coffee while I do it, and then I have to go brush my teeth in between, and then it's a whole thing. But you can do it whenever. And I don't know what colors you're drawn to. I feel like I've seen you wear like more of a rose pink or even like a berry shade, which is really pretty. And I think it would go well with this look because it's, again, it's more cool toned. I feel like that those colors kind of go together if you're doing like cooler toned shadows. This stick. And so I have this, which is more of like it's not berry, but it's like rose pink more. Let me see if I have a berry. Maybe I do. Oh well. So I usually do lip liner, but I won't for this. I'll do, see, it's a little bit Barbie pink, so I might add something else. So I have this, which is like a gloss balm, and that gives it more of that nice shade. And I always do, so it doesn't get on my teeth. I can kind of blend it out with my finger a little. And if I wanted to add more, I could. If I wanted to add less, I could. So that's kind of the thing. I always do a little setting spray at the end. Oh, shoot. Good. I've just spilled my powder. But you can customize this, obviously, as much as you want to. But I always do a little spray. And that's it. So, sorry, I hope that wasn't too long. Hopefully it's helpful. Bye.